Hey y'all, welcome back. Episode 29 of season 2 of the Manly Musings podcast. Tonight we bring back one of our favorite guests who we like to bleep out a lot. Mr. Chris Alico is joining us for the NFL draft edition. So say hey, Chris.
Hey, since you did bring up the draft already, and I'll eat my own words too, but I do want to say 3 years ago today, I made a post about how I was very upset about us drafting Jalen Hurts in the second round, and Mr. Peasley over here said it made no sense. So neither one of us understood football 3 years ago, because the guy is now the highest paid player in the NFL until next year when 10 other players get contracts bigger than him, because that's how league economics work. But happy to be here.
I remember that, and yeah, I will eat my own words too, because that really worked out for the Eagles. But I think everyone was still on we think that Carson Wentz is going to be better than what he was train.
What a fall from grace.
Yeah.
You even want to call
collapse.
That was a good player, bad injury, could never recover.
Unfortunately, in my opinion, as an Eagles fan and seeing other quarterbacks come through the league, it's kind of what happens when you end up on a winning team in college, as winning as his was, that went to national championships for Division II every single year.
No, Division One, FCS.
Double A.
Yeah, double A.
But they went to the national title almost every single year, and the guy didn't know how to fight through adversity, in my opinion. I'm sure he does in other things.
Mm-hmm.
But when it came to football, he was not okay with his backup winning a Super Bowl and then the fan base turning against him all within 5 weeks.
Yeah, I don't think any of us would be, though. Let's be honest.
No, I wouldn't want to deal with it. I'm not bad.
You would be horrible at it.
I'm not mad he's gone with how well he's done in Indianapolis and Washington, and I don't know if he's actually signed anywhere this year.
He's unsigned, but I thought he had an unfair shake in Indy.
I agree.
That's the one plot. But let's jump into the weekly sports update. This one is the first and probably only thing we're going to talk about for the weekly sports update for football related stuff. We have 5 players suspended for betting. 4 comes from your Detroit Lions, 1 from the Giants. 3 of them are suspended for a year. The guy from the Giants is suspended for the year. 2 of the ones from the Lions are, and the other 2 are suspended for 6 games because they did not bet on football. The other 3 that are suspended for the full year pulled a Calvin Ridley and bet on their own games. What the heck?
Can you name any of these 6 players?
Oh gosh, let me pull it
Jamison
up.
Williams.
Yes, that is
Happy we didn't take him in the draft when we had the chance.
Stanley Berryhill, Quintez Cephas, CJ Moore, and Shaka Tooney.
Yeah, CJ
Exactly
Moore
my point.
and Jamison Williams were probably the 2 best out of those 5.
And Jamison Williams can't stay on the field, so if he keeps up with the way he's going with injuries, he might need to make a living off betting. So good to get started early.
Well, hopefully the parlays hit and they got some money out of it. Yeah, that's fine. Who is the one? Andrew, do you have the breakdown of who's got what for the
Jameson
suspension?
Williams got 6 suspended 6 games.
Yeah.
Stanley Berryhill suspended 6 games. And
So, yeah.
then the other 3, this
the
is
full
saying, suspended indefinitely.
They can be reinstated after a year of suspension, though.
But they're officially been, or Quintez got cut.
Yeah, the 2
So
Lions players got cut.
Yeah.
And I don't know if the Giants player did yet.
The
Or Redskins player. Not Redskins. Sorry, Commanders. Commanders. That's
Bleep
right.
that out. I would know. Bleep it out.
I'll have to bleep
I would
that.
know that you need to bleep
I'll
that
have to
out.
bleep that. Oh, Merritt.
Oh wow, I'm getting bleeped.
Wow, that'll have to be a reel.
There you go,
Word
Kevin. You
me.
have some real material right there. Oh god.
It looks like Quintez got cut, CJ Moore got cut, and Shaka Tooney did not get cut. Just suspended.
The crazy part
But
is
he's not eligible to participate in football related activities.
No.
So they can't even play in farm leagues or anything.
No, he can't play at all. He's done. He's unpaid for a full year. The other two that you mentioned are only 6 games because they bet on sports, but and within the facility.
Yeah.
They bet at the Lions facility.
It was location of the bet. Right?
Yes. Location of the bet and betting itself. They basically don't want you to bet on anything. So
Yeah. Which is
The
fair.
Lions also fired 4 lower level staff members for
Wow.
violating the gambling policy.
good for them.
Yeah.
My
Yeah,
God.
across the organization.
This is stupid. In my opinion, you should be able to bet on things that aren't NFL. And I would even say, like Calvin Ridley's example, like he wasn't with the team. I think that was fun. That was so dumb. I think.
Yeah, but he was betting on the Falcons.
Yeah, but he wasn't playing.
But he's
He
betting
wasn't
on his
involved.
team. It doesn't matter. If you want to bet, like you,
Okay.
I think I agree with your point that if you want to bet, let them bet on anything that is not your league.
That's fair. I would say that's fine.
You go into that realm of Kevin, remind me of the ref's name.
Oh, Tim Donaghy.
Donaghy and Pete Rose, who bet on their sports and they change the outcomes of games. That's what you want to get away from. This one was a surprising one because I saw this thing on Instagram basically saying what Las Vegas has done in like the past 10 years. And one of the top things was the athletics. So apparently Oakland Athletics are moving to Vegas.
Yeah, I'm bullshit.
I don't know what to say.
So dumb. It's so dumb.
I mean, I think it's the fault of the city of Oakland. They're not willing to put up the money to make new stadiums for their teams. So their teams are gonna go ahead and get the hell out of there, where they're gonna be able to get a stadium that they can compete with everybody else. If anybody's been to anywhere near the Oakland stadiums, they're way outdated. Like, I don't blame them for leaving.
I don't blame them either.
Even though I think it's hilarious that they followed the Raiders, but I still think I don't blame them for leaving the city of Oakland, unfortunately.
Was there like a noticeable revenue difference for the Raiders when they moved?
I'd
imagine there would have been.
I don't think there's been a show.
I don't think they've talked about it.
There's definitely a huge increase in what they've made from Oakland to there for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I would think there would be just for the fact that they moved new stadium.
Yeah, with that Death Star of a stadium. But I think revenue-wise, it's probably hard to calculate because if you remember, the first year where that stadium came out was 2020, when pretty much everything was like closed to the public. So they're probably paid back some of that after this past season, and I'm sure they'll probably finally start to make something probably after this year.
And think the first part of the 2021 weren't a lot of fans in the stands either. So you probably have to wait at least 5 years after COVID. So let's just say last year was year 1 of using that stadium at full capacity. Let's see what happens in the next 5 years to see if there's a huge revenue difference. But I think you will, because it's Vegas and you're going to get the people that are like all 4 of us who are different sport fans, team fans that, oh, we're in Vegas for a weekend. Let's go see the Raiders play. I don't know who they're playing, but let's just go see. That's what you're going to get.
So the Raiders have increased revenue every year since 2001. There's no dips. In 2018, they made 357 mil. In 2019, they made 383 mil. In 2020, they made 389 mil. And then in 2021, they made 563 mil.
Wow.
So they took a pretty big jump.
That's where the following comes from.
Yeah. And that could be impacted by COVID, that like huge jump, but it could also just be the move.
That's fair. I always forget we're only like 3 years removed from the start of COVID until I'm driving behind somebody going 40 on a highway that's 70 with their mask on in their car. Nothing against the masks, by the way. If you want to wear a mask, wear a mask. It's your right. If you're in your own car and you wear a mask, you don't deserve to live on this earth.
I agree. If you're wearing a mask, driving your own car with no one in your car
By
with
yourself, yeah, in the
Needs
car.
to be question your cleanliness is what I think. If you're in the store and you feel like wearing one, go ahead and wear one. If I get sick, I wear one out in public because at this point I'm like, we went through this whole thing. I don't want to get other people sick. I'm not going to be a jerk.
Facts.
you-
That's the
If you're in
same
your car
with me.
wearing one, go somewhere else.
Oh God.
I can understand, and I can sympathize with Oakland's the reason that they moved the Athletics. I just really don't like how they did it, because it is both the city's and the team's fault. The city was it was against the idea of like spending lots of money for the team, but the team was also like basically dead in the water for the last like 3 years. Like they're not spending any money on the actual sport. They're not spending any money on maintenance. They're not spending any money on the stadium itself. They're basically just waiting. They're just dying out. And then at the end, middle of the beginning of this season, they sign a contract and they say, you know what, we're out of here. It's over. And I don't know. It just,
Yeah,
I don't like how they did it. I can appreciate why they don't want to be there anymore. And I'm all for getting more sports teams out of California because there's so many there. But I don't think it was a great way of going about it.
yeah, but at the same time, it's not all on the Athletics.
No.
We have to look at it as the Athletics budget to spend is nothing compared to the level of spend that the Red Sox, the Yankees,
Oh yeah.
what the ownership can delve out. That's what you have to look at.
Red Sox spending is a whole different question.
It's stupid. Yankee spending.
Did you know that our owners bought the Pittsburgh Pirates with the baseball revenue they were supposed to use?
They bought the Penguins.
Yeah, not the Pirates, the Penguins. The revenue that is typically used to sign players, the Boston Red Sox ownership company bought a
Fenway
huge stake.
Sports Group. Yeah.
They also own part of Liverpool.
No, they don't. They sold that.
No,
they sold
did.
that part.
Okay. Well, yeah, they sold it. They owned it for a while, and you're right. They did sell it very recently.
Yeah. So
I think they own something else too. LeBron James is like involved in that.
Yeah, please get him out of here. That's why I want ownership for the Red Sox to sell the team, because I don't want LeBron James associated with that team at all. We haven't done well since he became a minority owner. But same time, like back to the Athletics, like they can only spend, like, say their cap's only 50 million. So they can't do anything with that. You have the oddities of the Tampa Bay Rays who somehow do it, but Athletics, no, they're not going to get the free agents, because anyone that knows anything about Oakland Athletics facility is
there. Their stadium was infested with rats.
It's trash.
They had rats living in the stadium.
Oh, so are the Jaguars down in Florida.
That's true.
But yeah, so that, I think it just sucks to see another team go to Vegas, and especially the Athletics, who have been part of the Oakland community for so long, like the Raiders were, that they're never going to go back. It's not like going to be everyone wants the Athletics back, like we all want the Seattle Supersonics back. So most likely we'll never see any team in Oakland again, because they lost the Warriors. They lost
every professional team pretty much.
Yeah. They've lost every professional team that they've ever had.
Yeah, and it's their fault. If they don't want to go ahead and, put up the money to compete with everybody else, you're just not gonna last. And teams are gonna take their players and all their revenue that they make for those towns and take it to somewhere else that's willing to put up. The Warriors only went like across the bridge.
Yeah,
to San
Francisco.
They didn't even change any branding or anything.
They don't have to. No. But what's funny though is they lost the Raiders twice.
Yep.
Yeah. It's terrible.
All right. Next we got some basketball stuff. So Nick Nurse is out as the head coach of the Toronto Raptors. It sounded like he was basically done with a couple of weeks left in the season anyway. So no surprise there. And he's the leading candidate for the Pistons job, I think, right now.
That sounds right.
as well as one of the old coaches from UConn.
Kevin Ollie, yeah.
How is he involved in anything that's NBA level? Because he failed very miserably at the end at UConn.
I mean, he won a national championship with
He did.
UConn.
No, he did. But at the end, it was horrible.
I mean, college basketball super different than pros.
Yeah.
You know, if he's able to coach men, you know, and I'm pretty sure he took a break from coaching for that reason to just, have a restart. Good
He's
for
a
him,
coach.
but
He's a coach of an elite team too, I think is what I
yeah,
read.
for like high schoolers, I think, right?
Okay, yeah. So he definitely cannot be coaching in the NBA. In my opinion. Like,
I mean, I think he'll probably get a shot somewhere.
I think
Maybe
he can become an
assistant
assistant.
coach.
I think you need to get to that assistant level first before you can, because it's a lot different than any other, level. So we'll see. It's interesting. Adoka is now the new head coach of the Houston Rockets.
You
Is
get
that
one
official?
slime bag out of
Yes.
Houston with Deshaun
Yep.
Watson, and you bring another one into the
Mhm.
Rockets.
And you bring him to a team that is tuned out. What was his name? His dad just passed away.
Oh,
Coach.
isn't it Paul Silas Jr.?
Yes, Paul Silas Sr. was a great basketball player, and his son knows the sport through and through.
Hell
And
of
you
a
have
coach too.
And you have a whole team that just tuned him out. I don't know how Udoka probably get to these guys and figure it out, but I wouldn't touch that job. I'd go to the Detroit Pistons before I would touch the Houston Rockets, especially that organization with how they handle things.
Well, if the rumor of them getting James Harden back,
Yeah.
I mean, that's another factor there because who knows what's going to happen. They may have something up their sleeve that we're not prepared to know about yet, but
You think Harden would go back to a team like that that's younger, that
Yeah, there's a lot of
hasn't
rumors
proven
that
anything?
there's a lot of
Others have been saying a lot of stuff about it.
there's a lot of rumors that he's, if he doesn't win it in Philadelphia, that he's going to take his ball and go back to Houston and be that star player again.
You know what he
But-
misses? You know what he misses down there?
He probably misses all the strip clubs.
Yeah, exactly. That's all he misses.
Did John Wall get sent back? Was that him?
Yeah, he got traded for Eric Gordon, which was miserable and horrible. I can't believe that the Clippers did that to him. I don't respect the Clippers for that one
This
move.
is the massage parlors.
Ooh, those two.
Wants to trade the pick and roll for a little rub and tug. Bleep that out.
No, that doesn't get bleeped out.
I don't think that gets bleeped out. I don't think that breaks any community guidelines. I'll have to see.
No, it doesn't. And then a big one for tomorrow night's Celtics game is Murray got suspended for game 5 because of bumping into the ref after the game and saying something and then cussing him out as he walked away. What I didn't know until I read another article was Jason Tatum bumped into a ref too, but is not being suspended. But I don't know. I haven't seen the video.
The star treatment.
Tatum
Definitely
bumping.
star treatment.
Oh, 100%. Like 100% star treatment for Tatum. Murray and the Hawks, it's over at this point. You're going back to Boston tomorrow night. Oh crap, that's gonna be really shitty for me. I need to definitely get out of Boston early. It's gonna be
The Pike
it's
is
gonna
gonna
be crazy.
slammed.
What did Murray say to the ref? Because the article I saw was that he verbally assaulted him.
So
not that he said things crooked, not that he was out of line. He verbally assaulted the ref.
Well, nowadays refs get very touchy-feely on how players talk to them. Like everybody else in the world, we can't say our own thoughts without somebody being upset with us. But apparently at the end of the game, he just walked up to him. You could see the video. He says something, bumps him, walks away, and still yelling. But like when he says something, the first thing he says, the ref kind of looks at him like, "What? Like, what are you saying?" and then that's it. But you see him like get held back by, I want to say Hunter or somebody else from going back to the ref. So, you know, we're probably only
To
seeing.
be fair to the players, the leagues create that.
Oh, they do.
But these refs don't get held accountable as much as they should. And I'm all for it. It's human error for a lot of it. You can't make the right call every single time. You're going to miss things. You're going to call things you thought you saw. But they're calling blatantly obvious things and it's getting pushed under the rug. And players are getting pissed because they sit there and get called out in their media sessions afterwards by their coaches, by their teammates. It's all over TV when they screw up.
And then you have
But when the refs do, it's just pushed under the rug.
the ref Scott Foster that no one likes.
So there's a lot of
fans
heat.
love Scott Foster.
What?
Boston
No, we
fans
don't.
love. No, isn't he the guy that extends
No.
our series like every
No.
time? No, he's a different guy. My
The other
bad.
guy
My
is
apologies.
the I can't remember his name. He's a black ref that literally the Celtics have won the past like 18 games where he's their ref. And it's not by a small margin of victory. It's usually a large margin of victory.
Is
Scott
it like
Foster.
Tony Brothers?
Yes. Tony Brothers. Thank you, Kevin.
Yeah,
Yeah. Scott Foster is easily the worst ref in the NBA. And somehow he still has a job after being part of what I would still believe is the betting scandal with Donahue and everything. He's still involved. But that's that. How the heck do I say this guy's name that's being drafted overall number 1 in the NBA draft this year?
Wembanyama.
Wembanyama.
Victor.
Victor
Yeah.
Wembanyama declares for the NBA draft. And I love this new thing that came out in the NBA whatever contract that they have to, any top first round pick or whatever has to declare for the draft and has to go to the combine. And if they don't go to the combine, they are not eligible to be drafted.
Oh yeah, they definitely should all be going to the combine.
I love that.
Now,
They-
wait, is the rule they just have to appear at the combine,
No.
or do they have to like
They
actually compete?
They have to compete. They don't have to compete in the 5-on-5 challenge, like the 5-on-5 games, but they have to do everything else because what has been happening is you'd have players. Let's just use Trae Young because I hate his guts and he whatever. But say Trae Young goes to the combine. All he does is he just kind of sits around, takes a couple pictures, does the measurements, talks to a couple teams. That's it. The agent is now in the back scene talking about his injuries, his everything, like how healthy he is. It's all secondhand information being given out via the agent. So they're trying to get rid of that portion of it so that it's coming directly from the player and the doctors. What's going on between the player and the teams. So it helps everyone at the end of the day, especially the teams that are going to sit there and say, I'm giving you my first overall pick, whatever number I have, and millions of dollars to come play basketball. I want to make sure I have my investments correct. So I like it. I think it's a good idea.
I saw stuff. This is sort of unrelated, but related at the same time. I saw stuff that said that Bryce Young was afraid of what his measurements would be at the NFL Combine, which is why he didn't go.
Interesting.
He did
Yeah.
pro day, but he didn't do the combine. He was
Yeah.
the only like top 5 projected player like in any skill position that didn't show up.
Yeah, but he killed it on his
Yeah, on his pro day he did.
analytical exam too.
Yeah,
And here's the best one out of everything. Colorado has lost 17 players since Saturday.
That's so crazy to me.
I have the
like-
list up.
What the
7
hell happened?
17 players have left the Primetime's team.
I'm not gonna lie. Like I watched all of his like sons like videos, and it looks like everybody's having themselves a hell of a time. I'm confused on why they're leaving. I'm surprised. That's the only thing I can think of is that some of these players realize they're just not gonna get playing time over others, and if they want to play, they're gonna try and just go somewhere else, which is the name of the game at this point.
Yeah, I think it's the fact that some people can't play under a coach like him.
Yeah, he's
I think
demanding.
he's demanding. I think the things that he's demanding aren't crazy at all when he did his introductory conference, but how he handles certain things and how he's been dealing with certain situations with the kids, I don't, maybe it's not the best. We're not there on a day-to-day basis. We see the videos like Kevin says and all this, but 17 players after Saturday. It's been 72 hours, 48 hours since then. And 17 guys have been like, yeah, peace, I'm done. And majority of them were starters on Colorado's team last year. So we know they can play.
All of them but 2 or 3-star recruits. The other 2 are 4 stars. So they're pretty good players. They're not like crazy, but
Well, West Virginia has some openings. You're more than welcome to go to West Virginia. I promise. We'll throw you the ball.
Reading this that I'm looking on Bleacher Report, a lot of these players are the ones that were already on the team when he first came in.
Yeah.
So it's not like anybody that transferred there and then just decided to leave. It's the original team that he had, which at the same time, if you guys remember his initial video, when he first arrived on campus, he said, everybody, hey, I just want to let you know this isn't going to be easy. This is going to be tough. If you don't think you can handle it, go ahead, hop in that portal when it's springtime, and we wish you the best. But we're gonna demand the best, expect the best. If you can't give that to us, feel free to hop in that portal. And it looks like if 17 of them have decided to go ahead and do that. But I also understand with that means other names are probably going to be on their way there. Like, if look at all the players he brought in probably a good 9 to 10 players from his Jackson State team that include Travis Hunter, who's probably going to be playing both wide receiver and cornerback for that team. So he's looking for big time players, and I think people, if they really have that dedication and want to have the honor of playing under somebody like Primetime, they're gonna go there. So, as shocking as it is to like see that many people leave right after a spring game that was also had about 47,000 in attendance, I mean, hey,
That's a different world and generation out there, even in college sports right now. Because if you think about WVU basketball, when Huggins has players leave, I feel like one of the biggest complaints is he's too tough. Essentially, he makes us get on the treadmill when we screw up. He punishes us for not playing the right way.
Are you talking about Oscar? I feel like you're talking about Oscar.
I'm talking about a lot of them, but thankfully, college basketball and the way it is now doesn't need to be a 4-year team built up. And I mean, I think WVU basketball through the transfer portal the last couple of years has a really solid team this year.
This year's team is going to, fingers crossed, be very scary.
But with a guy like Huggins in place, same thing with Primetime. You need players that are going to put in their all every single day.
And they're like
a generation where they don't want to put in their all every day. They want it easy. Even guys at that level. And I'm not talking down because I could never play to that level. I put in a lot of work at a lot of things. I tried at football, but I wasn't as good as them. And there was no point in trying that hard because I never would have played at that level. But even at that level with some of those guys, they've been so gifted athletically that they don't want to put in the additional work that a guy like Primetime is going to expect.
Yeah, and these guys, they're both like, but these two examples, but like most hard coaches are legends in their sport. And
it's different playing for a really good coach that's just a really good coach and a really good coach that was a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, this is the first time probably any of these kids have played with anybody near as good as Primetime is, or Huggins' team. Like
how bad
you step in the rim, and they're gonna ask you for everything that you have because they're gonna give you everything they have, like they've always done their whole career.
Yeah,
so
it'll be interesting. They have a tough schedule. They have to go play TCU game 1, and
they play Nebraska right after. Then it's Oregon at home, and then at USC. That's the first 4 games.
They might
4-0 or 0-4.
I think they go 2-2. I think they can beat TCU and Nebraska because Nebraska has literally been god awful lately. That's the only reason they win that one. And TCU, because TCU is losing, they lost a lot of good talent on the offensive side of the ball going to the draft this year. So, but we'll see. They're definitely not beating Oregon. They definitely aren't beating USC. No, definitely not USC.
I mean, definitely not. Maybe not USC, but I could see them putting up a fight against Oregon.
They'll put up a fight. I just don't think they'll beat Oregon because Oregon's team is an older team that's been around. So they're established in what they do. But we'll see. We got a long way to go until college football starts.
I know
I'll
it's
watch
only
Colorado and cheer for them every week and have my heart broken if they lose. Because I'm not watching WVU football until Neil Brown's gone or Jeff Bezos becomes our #1 booster so that we can compete.
Well,
Those are my stipulations.
I like your first stipulation because I think that'll happen. I'll
The
be
second one.
No, second one definitely will never happen. But we have some really big guys that are putting money in. We talked about it last week.
yeah, they're putting it in for the basketball team. So
the owner of the Diamondbacks is a West Virginia grad, and he's shelling out money to keep players there. So I'm cool with it. Let's talk about West Virginia since Chris brought it up. This past weekend was the blue and gold game. So our spring game, which apparently it was fun. I saw highlights of it. It looks like it was good. The players got out there, some trick plays. I think the blue team won with a field goal at the end. So it was 59-56. But I have to say, it looked like a regular football game because there's no one in the stands. There's no fans.
they didn't give an attendance update for a reason because it was that underwhelming.
I saw pictures. There was no one. It's horrible. But it is what it is when you have a really bad season last year and really didn't do much to change for this upcoming season. So
With the schedule they got.
Oh, they're so screwed. They have like
lucky if we win 5 games.
I'm gonna say they lose to Penn State in Happy Valley. There's no way we're gonna win that one.
That's probably not even close.
But if they lose 2 weeks later, he knows Sunday morning he's sitting in the office of the athletic director and president's office and sitting there saying, yep, I'll start packing my bag. My bag's already packed. I've already cleaned out my office. I took the time last night. Thank you.
No, and he won't even make it back into the locker room.
They'll
do it on the field.
They'll do it. They'll give him the locker room because I think they're going to give him the respect of that much. I don't think we're going to do like what USC did to Lane Kiffin years ago, where he got off the plane and was not allowed on the bus after losing to ASU, who was unranked at the time. So I don't think they do that. I think they give him the respect to at least go back and talk to his team. But we'll see. We'll
at the end of the day,
like on the field last year,
they stuck their neck out for him keeping him when I feel like nobody that's a fan of WVU thought they should. And I don't think they kept him thinking that he was the right option. I think they kept him thinking there was no other realistic options, and it gives them more time to look if he doesn't step it up.
Right. From what I heard, it's impossible. From what people are saying, it's impossible to hire an athletic director and then try to hire a football coach all on the same time frame because the athletic director has to be involved in that search. So,
yep, they didn't have enough time to look over the options.
No, we pretty much got screwed by our previous athletic director by giving him the poison pill deal that he gave us, and now this is the situation we're stuck in. Chris said it like months ago on the podcast. We are probably in for the next 10 to 12 years of really bad football.
Mm-hmm.
And God forbid we can stay alive with Hugs. They're playing Hugs game because they understand that our fan base loves Huggins and they would want to see him win. So I think that's why they're probably throwing all the money they have to Huggins for his transfer portal. And you haven't heard anything on the football end because they know it's right now in the shits.
And
nicely saying.
And you only have, to be completely honest, we only have one player that is really good on that team. And he got hurt last year, and you saw what happened when he got hurt. Our whole team just fell to shit. Now, if Donaldson can stay healthy all year and is in running back shape, because he was in tight end shape last year, not running back shape, then we have something to root for. I'll just root for him all year. I won't root for the team. I'll root for him to have a good game.
But it's really funny you mentioned, like, they went into the whole running offense. I was listening to a couple of the WV podcasts, and they said that our offense looks very Jeff Mullen-esque.
Oh,
And
great.
if
So
any of you are familiar with that, it's not a good sign to have that name attached to that offense.
I didn't watch the spring game or see anything on it personally, but from everything I read, Neil Brown was the only one excited about what happened on the field. It sounds like, from what I've gathered from the majority, is if that spring game is any indicator of what we're going to look like this season, it's not good.
No, it's not going to be good. And
I did see that he didn't call any plays.
No, he gave
the assistant coaches were.
The offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator became the head coaches for the teams, which is fine. I think that's a good way to handle it, because, as he said 2 years ago, he has to be the CEO, not the head, not like
coordinator should be
coordinator.
Your game. They should know enough of the game plan going in that you can trust them making the calls, so that you can be in the background as the head coach.
Yeah, but he doesn't do that.
Where you need to. You can talk to the defense while the offense is on the field, because you're not calling plays.
Yeah, but he doesn't do that. We all know that. We all seen it. That's why. Who was our offensive coordinator last year, Kevin?
It was, what's his name? Former Texas Tech quarterback.
And he was at
USC. Oh my God, I forgot his name.
But that's why
he's
he
at
left.
Purdue now.
Yeah, he's at Purdue as offensive coordinator, because he was trying to call things, and Neil Brown changed things. It's easy to point out. We can go back to a bunch of games.
Yes, Graham Harrell.
Thank you. But let's get off that high horse, because
am I even gonna bother going to that backyard brawl game the way we're talking right now?
Dude, we're going to go to the backyard brawl game just because it's the backyard brawl game. We never know when it's going to come back.
I feel like I almost don't even want to waste the money.
Well, shut up, because I just bought season tickets, so I'm going to waste my money there.
It's the dedication. We'll shit on the Mountaineers all podcast long and then buy season tickets.
They're my team. I will shit on them all day long, because
I watch DJ Manuel through the football every week.
Yeah, that sucks. Just had to watch, a lot of shitty quarterbacks throw the football between McNabb and then Hurts. So
a lot.
Yeah, he had a lot.
We had a lot of good backups.
You had a lot, yeah. You did have a lot of good backups.
Jeff Garcia. I never would have used him as a starter, but every time he came off the bench, I was like, okay, we're not going to do terrible.
Yeah, and you also
Jeff Garcia.
We're not going to do terrible.
Yeah, you're not going to be blown out by 30. You're going to lose by, a touchdown or 3 points, something like that. They're serviceable. So
Nick Foles probably has the least amount of starts out of anybody who has a statue built for them.
The simple fact he has a statue and didn't get re-signed after the next year.
That.
Yeah, it's the isn't it with Doug Peterson too, where they're calling the play?
Yeah, the Philly special, as they call it.
The Philly special.
I mean, I love that play. Don't get me wrong; it's one of my favorite plays in the history of my team. But it's definitely not the first time it was ever ran. It was ran earlier in that game. Tom Brady just couldn't catch the ball.
Yeah, the Patriots ran it first, and Brady just butterfingered it. All right, so let's get into the football side of things, because we're all wearing football-related items tonight. So, Kevin, we'll start off with you. Who you got on? What team you repping?
I mean, I rep the Steelers, of course, of Pittsburgh. This jersey is an Antonio Brown jersey. The old Color Rush jerseys. I'm gonna be honest. I put it on because it's the first Steelers thing I found, so I can get here not as late, so Merritt didn't yell at me. So Antonio Brown it was.
Kevin, we need to get you a new Steelers jersey, don't we?
I mean, I have a couple more. I just
don't get him a Pickett. You get him a Watt.
That is on my list. I want him. and I want Mr. Harris as well.
Get George Pickens.
I do like Pickens too. I might just have to
He's
get all
crazy.
three at some point in life.
Yeah.
Oh, I
I
forgot.
think
how
his
stages.
catch last year was the best catch of the year.
Oh my god, that was ridiculous.
Yeah.
All right,
Or he was
Andrew.
like laid out sideways. I have Josh Allen on.
Shout out Josh Allen.
Woo.
Everyone in the
Let's
AFC East better
go,
be
Buffalo.
scared. I don't care about Aaron Rodgers.
I'm not scared of the Bills because they didn't do shit over the offseason and they lost a ton of stuff.
The Bills did? I didn't
Yeah.
see you guys doing much better.
Oh, we didn't do anything. Let's be honest. We haven't
All
done
we
anything.
did is didn't have to pay Tremaine Edwards a crazy fucking amount of money.
No, the Steelers did that instead.
No, the Bears did.
Was it the Bears?
Yeah, Tremaine Edmonds went to the
Oh.
Bears. He paid like 80 mil or something. Like,
Good for him.
I'm
bro.
happy for him, but like, I didn't want to have us pay that cap.
Who you got on, Chris?
I have on my Hertz Smith 22 shirt. I've spent a
Dig
lot
it.
of time yelling at Howie Roseman for his terrible drafting for a team that for another year is going to have 10 of 11 offensive starters drafted by the team. Two of our starting offensive linemen who are two of the best in the league at their positions were 6th and 7th rounders, one of which being a left tackle who played rugby up until he was a left tackle for the Eagles.
Yep.
So I going with the homegrown talent here. The one on the bottom I liked when we drafted. The one on the top I wasn't sure until we made the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah, there was
Still
a
questionable, but he's a great leader and a hard worker, and he's gotten better every single year with the team. So he earned his money.
There was a conversation between Chris and I before the NFL season. Like, what do you think Hurts is going to be like? And he's like, honestly, I think he's okay. I don't think he's going to. We're going to have a good year, but I don't think we're going to be that good. I was like, okay, well, I thought the same thing in my team. So we got proved wrong.
I did. I think he has a lot of firepower around him, but like I said, the guy is a leader.
Yeah.
He's a hard worker. He's gotten better every single year. Definitely a student of the game. I mean, you still got to keep the talent around him, and they did that by structuring the contract the way they did. But that's any quarterback. There's not many quarterbacks you could give a shit team that are going to come out and do good. I figure as long as he's not running for his life, which with how we focus on the offensive and defensive lines, should never be a problem on either side of the ball, where either people behind the line are struggling because of the people in front of them. So, and with AJ Brown on the team, we're not exactly hurting there either.
No,
that was
a
big move.
Think you're doing well.
Huge move. How dumb could the Tennessee Titans be to just
Pretty
give him
much
up like
drafted
that?
him last year is what we did. And they tried to draft his replacement, and I mean, they don't have a quarterback, so
No.
Huh.
they're about to lose the running back, I'm sure.
Oh, definitely. And then I've got on my Mac Jones jersey. God, I hope he actually knows how to throw football this year with a good offensive coordinator. Andrew, you can shake your head, but
I don't know.
you've
I
never
don't
had an
see it.
offensive coordinator who doesn't know offense try to teach your team how to do anything.
I had what's his name? Rex Ryan as my head coach.
Yeah.
And
He's a
we had
defensive
wristbands
guy.
that said listen to the ref on them.
Yeah, because he never listened
We've
to
had bigger
anyone.
problems than a quarterback not being able to throw the ball.
No, we had an offensive coordinator that didn't know how to call an offense.
Oh yeah. I mean
That was worse.
yeah.
Let's just run the ball for the first 2 plays. And it's 3rd and long. Let's now just
Throw a short check down and then
check down 5 yards and
punt the ball.
then our
Mac
punter was
Jones
shit.
has some good juju coming to him this year,
I think so
Does he?
too.
because I had a weird obsession with betting on him, thinking he could make me a ton of money, and I've stopped sports betting because I'm wrong all the time.
Good.
So maybe he'll have a good year this season.
I think
Chris was jinxing the Patriots all season long.
You son why don't you bet on your own team then?
So
Yeah.
I do that, then they lose.
That would be
Perfect.
against league regulations.
Oh my god.
Oh, that was good. All right. So let's get into the nitty-gritty part of this episode. We are going to talk about the NFL draft. We're going to talk about a couple of the big trades that happen and some of the potential rumors. Also touch on the quarterbacks, because that's really what everyone's talking about is the quarterbacks, some of the defensive players, and some of these wide receivers that are out there. And we'll just go through. We'll definitely go off the rails for this one for sure. I know that. But yeah, let's start off with the news of the day. Does anyone else want to say this? Because I've said it 5
Kevin,
times.
you work there.
I love it.
That's all you, Kev.
Aaron Rodgers to the New York Jets, from Green Bay Packers to that gangrene Jets green. I believe, Andrew, do you have the stats for us of like what was in the trade?
Yes,
have
I
it.
do. All right, you got it. All right.
What do you
Alright,
got?
So the Jets receive the 15th overall pick
Mhm.
for this year's draft, plus a 5th rounder, which is pick 170 for this year's
Okay.
draft. And Mr. I'm gonna go sit in a dark tunnel for 3 weeks. Aaron
Shout out to
Rodgers.
him. Shout out to him.
Packers will receive the 13th overall pick,
Okay.
a 2023 second round pick, which is number 42, a 6th round pick, which is number 207, and a conditional 2024 second round pick that becomes a first rounder if Rodgers plays 65% of the plays. He doesn't come off the field,
Yeah.
so they'll definitely hit that mark.
Yeah.
So the Packers are getting 2 first rounders, a second rounder, and a 6th round pick for Rodgers.
I mean, that's not a bad gig. Not a bad gig at all. I think the Jets, man, is MetLife Stadium going to be rocking this year with both the Jets and the Giants off of the season they just had. It's going to be rocking. And Rodgers, he's got young weapons. He's got a defense as well. You know, he's got an offensive line that should be able to protect him. I am very excited to see what the Jets do, but I'm also cautious because, again, Jets do Jet things. And God literally knows this could end up being a situation of when the Jets got Brett Favre back in the day. So I'm hopeful. I'm being optimistic. I'll say it right now. Let's get Jets to the Super Bowl if possible. I'm with it.
Don't even start that shit because it's not happening.
I mean, I'm going at least second in the division to Andrew's Bills.
Yeah, it's gonna go Bills, Jets, Dolphins, Patriots.
I will put it as the Bills, the Dolphins, the Jets, Patriots.
I don't know. You don't think you don't
No.
think Aaron Rodgers still has a little bit
No.
left in the tank?
I think he has something left in the tank, but does he make the team 6 wins better?
I think he can be.
No.
With the Jets, how bad they were quarterback wise.
I
think certifiably they'll be like 3 or 4 games better.
I think they
6
get
games is a question of if he pops off.
I think they get 2 more wins with Rodgers. That's it. I don't think they're going to be as good as everyone keeps saying. And that's not me being a Patriots fan. That's me being a football fan. Like, I think it's a good
I
trade
can appreciate
for both teams. I think the Packers lucked out and they're going to get 2 first rounders for them, of course. It sucks that they had to give up one of their first round pick for this year, but they get rid of his cap money. They can let the Jordan Love experiment work for a year, see if that works. If it doesn't, find another quarterback and develop. But you're going to get some good talent out of those picks you're getting. The Jets take a huge cap hit for the next 2 years, which is $52 million each year, I'm pretty sure. He's 39 years old. He's had young receivers. He's had established receivers. He's had good defenses. He's never won except for in 2010, 13 years ago. I don't think moving him from the Packers is making a bigger difference for the Jets. I think the Jets have now leveraged their future for a win now scenario where they weren't even ready for that win now scenario. That's my thoughts. Like, and I could be totally off. I 100% could be off. But my thought is Rodgers comes in. He's one of the best quarterbacks to ever play the game.
Yep.
But what else is there? Like, you got rid of a bunch of your weapons. You have one decent wide receiver who's going to be a second-year wide receiver. Alan Lazard, he's okay. He's not that good. He's not the best. He does become your number 2 still behind Garrett Wilson, because Garrett Wilson is very good. You're going to have your best running back from last year come back from ACL surgery. He won't be 100% until what, week 7, week 8, maybe, depending. And you have okay running backs to back him up. Your defense is good. I also saw a thing today where it broke down Sauce Gardner, who everyone was like defensive rookie of the year, blah, blah, blah. He wasn't even as good as the Seahawks' best cornerback, who was a rookie. The Seahawks cornerback was better than Sauce. The only reason he got more attention is because he's in New York. I just don't think Rodgers does anything more. If you get him a good quarterback, but that's it. And he's one good hit away from being dead. He's 39 years old, 40 in December. He's one good hit away from not playing. But I want to hear Chris's thoughts because he's been quiet and he's our football guy.
I watched Rodgers play in Philadelphia last year on Sunday night. It was I want to say it was a November game. I was super excited. Don't get me wrong. Great game overall, high scoring, lots of yards. Packers offense didn't do anything until they started running the ball. Aaron Rodgers threw 2 interceptions, looked pedestrian. I was very disappointed in my experience seeing Rodgers play because that was the only time I've ever seen him in person. And I was hoping, obviously, for a win for my team. But it would have been exciting to see pretty much an all-time legend go out. I thought it was going to be his retirement tour, essentially. But it did not live up to the hype. I don't think him going to New York is going to fix their problems. I think New York's going to figure out that Aaron Rodgers isn't the guy, and they're not going to have the assets to find the guy. I think that Green Bay is going to find out that Jordan Love is not the guy, but they did the right thing to find out that he's not the guy instead of playing around and continuing to play around like they did with Brett Favre. Because Aaron Rodgers should have been a starter years before he was. I think they got less years out of him because they played around with the Brett Favre situation. And they did the right thing this time. But I don't think Favre comes in and magically makes the Jets a contender. I think the Bills will win that division. I don't think it matters, though, because if the Bills make it past the divisional round, they'll lose to KC. They can't beat KC.
Sorry, Andrew.
If we get D-Hop, I have faith. But
you're not going to get D-Hop.
I don't
Pat
know. There are
Mahomes is by
rumors.
far the best quarterback in the league. Andy Reid,
yeah.
and I'm biased because I loved him in Philly, but he is the best coach in the league.
Yeah, Andy Reid right now is probably the number 1 coach in the league after what he's done.
If they gave him the players in Philly, if they gave him half the players in Philly that they did in KC,
if you had,
I'd be sitting here talking to Merritt about how many Super Bowl rings my team had. But they gave them Donovan McNabb, who was good for his time, with guys like Todd Pinkston. Yes, I know. Look him up on Google. You probably don't know who he is.
Yeah, I don't know who he is. Damn.
I can't even tell you half of our receivers from back then.
all I know is Terrell Owens. That's about it.
And that was
you have Stallworth for a while, too.
Good 1-year move that ended up destroying the team. But McNabb was as much as I don't like Owens, McNabb was the reason behind that.
Yeah, he needed a weapon to throw to.
Yeah, McNabb's a locker room cancer. He's not a team guy.
Yeah. So
I don't think Rodgers magically fixed the Jets, but we'll see.
Yeah. We have a long time to debate it and a long season ahead of us to see if he is going to really do anything.
If nothing else, they're still picking just only 2 picks later in the first round.
Yeah.
They're not going to get a quarterback, obviously. Most of the quarterbacks worth taking will be off the board by then anyway.
Well, we'll talk about the quarterbacks here shortly because there's rumors flying around with these quarterbacks on what might happen.
Yep.
There could be a few there. So we'll see. Apparently there's now a market for Ryan Tannehill and Trey Lance. I can believe the Trey Lance hype of
Yeah, I
him
don't know
being.
who would want Tannehill.
I couldn't see a team. There's no team there that in the NFL right now that needs a quarterback.
Who's
Really?
that down bad? Who
Right.
really needs a quarterback that bad? Like besides like Atlanta, but odds are they'll probably draft somebody. Or
No, they're-
I'm them. I keep Desmond Ritter.
They're gonna
over-
Desmond Ritter's a starter there for sure.
Yeah,
So they'll draft like somebody later on in the draft to back him up, but
yeah.
maybe Houston, unless
Well, they're gonna pick a quarterback.
they're gonna take one. Well,
Yeah,
apparently the rumor is that they may not. They might take defense.
that
They
be
could take Jalen
insane if
Carter.
They start Davis Mills again.
Houston has the number 2 pick, right?
Yes.
What Houston needs to do is take that number 2 pick and make a package to send to Baltimore for Lamar Jackson.
That would be good.
And then Baltimore needs to take a quarterback, get a quarterback on a rookie salary that hopefully works out, rebuild that team around that quarterback, and then push that guy out and not give him the money he wants in 5 years.
Well, you know what they can do though is they can let that rookie quarterback sit behind their backup. Who's their backup right now? Hundley or whatever. Huntley. He's good. He can go in and start for the year because you got a 1-year deal. And then you let that rookie come in the next year and see how bad or how good he is, and then not pay him his money in a few years.
I mean, I think both teams would benefit from that trade. I think Baltimore's doing the right thing. Lamar Jackson is a hell of a talent, don't get me wrong. Not the best passer. He's athletic. He's going to get hurt a million more times. He already has.
Mm-hmm.
He's 1-3 in the playoffs.
He's never had a deep ball.
He's not. He is an average quarterback with excellent running skills.
Yeah.
And that's not bias, but Hurts has shown improvement in the passing game. I have not seen that in Lamar.
Right. And if Lamar has the time, and if he had, let's be honest, he's had decent weapons. He's had
nothing crazy, but it's
nothing
not
crazy,
pitiful.
but nothing bad.
No.
Yeah,
it's just been very average.
But like when he's throwing the ball, he does, if he has the time, he can throw it deep, but he has to have the time.
Yeah.
He's not the guy that's gonna
find that shit.
He's not the guy that's gonna step back 3 steps. Like any of the quarterbacks that for our teams can do.
Yeah. He's not Allen, he's not Herbert, he's not Hurts, he's not Burrow can throw it farther. And
Mahomes can just literally
Mahomes can
he just flicks
Mahomes
it with a
could
finger.
left hand bomb that.
Mahomes
shit
does
if he
it
wanted
behind
to.
the back for 80 yards.
Yeah, let's be honest.
Right into their hands.
Yeah.
Beautifully perfect pass, like no lookers. So I agree. I think if Houston does anything and they don't trade that pick, I almost wouldn't be surprised if they did take a defensive guy. Because they say that it is a huge drop off from the top quarterback. You know, Bryce Young is the number 1 quarterback. We all know that. And a drop off after that is pretty decent. No, they all scored well on their exam, except for one, which we'll talk about. Actually, 2 or 3 of them didn't score very well. But like after that, Bryce Young is the only one that's truly proven besides a couple, like 1 or 2 others. So
I think CJ Stroud will be okay. Anthony Richardson is, in my opinion, if he's taking top 5, it's going to be a waste of a pick.
Yeah, we'll talk about
his 80-yard bomb at the combine. I'm like, the guy can't throw for more than 2,500 yards in a full season starting. 50% completion.
All 4 of them, all 4 of like the top QBs are either going to be like, they can be pretty good, they could be really average, or they could all just be bad. And like there's nobody like in this draft that like on at least at the quarterback position. There are a few others in other positions that this isn't true for, but there's no one you can really just look at and be like, they will be good.
Right. And we'll talk about that here in a second. And I want to get Kevin's opinion on this one because this involves his team. Are you happy that you have a new wide receiver?
Yeah, we got him for nothing.
Yeah, you got him for dirt cheap.
You got him for nothing. We got if healthy, we got a solid wide receiver 3, veteran to help out, catch the ball, to help a young Kenny Pickett. If you need somebody to throw to and he's open, he'll get you a couple of yards. I'm excited. I was excited to hear about Allen Robinson. You know,
Past is physical, so you're good there.
so well, thank God. You know, I think it's a good move. They need to provide weapons for Kenny. So as long as they just keep loading it up for him, and if they can just, like I said, if they can get some more protection in the draft, I think Kenny can, move up a notch this
Yeah.
year.
I
I'm
agree.
glad as a Steelers fan that you said you got a good wide receiver 3, because I've talked to some other Steelers fans who are super excited, and I'm not saying you shouldn't be, but one told me that they had a really good starting number 1 wide receiver coming in. And I said maybe 5 years ago,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah. No,
Ooh,
he's your number.
whoever said that needs to get off the drugs they're taking, because
He might be a number 2 at best. Like, he's not a number 1 anymore. Not anymore.
No, definitely a solid pickup.
yes.
All right. So now let's talk about the fun part of this is talking about some of these players. So let's talk about the quarterbacks because we did mention them already. The rumor is CJ Stroud is going to fall. He scored horrible on the analytic exam, whatever it is.
Competency exam.
Yeah,
or whatever
competency
it is. He's like
exam.
18 out of 100.
He got an 18%. Bryce Young got a 96. Hayden Hooker got a 46. And that was the lowest besides CJ. Now, we all can say that CJ Stroud is a phenomenal quarterback, phenomenal athlete in the right system. Do we think he truly does fall out of the top 10?
No.
I have a feeling. So I don't think he'll go past 5. Like, I feel like someone like Indianapolis, who could use a little bit of life, I think they may take a chance on him.
Yeah, I
That's
think
just me.
I understand the argument for going round like second pick from the Texans to be like a defensive player of some kind, but I don't know. We're in the position where a lot of teams in the NFL who have high picks have either like aging quarterbacks or not very good quarterbacks. So like if he falls down to the Atlanta Falcons at 8 and they don't pick him, I'd be surprised if he like goes down that far, because then you start to deal with like, I think Chicago's after them, and then the Eagles, and
So
then
it goes
maybe the Titans are like 11, I think, and they
Yeah.
might take him.
The Titans
Like-
are 11, but they just took the kid last year.
Yeah,
They-
from
from
what's his
Liberty.
name?
From Liberty,
Yeah.
right?
Malik,
Malik
Malik
Henry?
Yeah,
No,
no, not
Williams?
Henry.
No, wait.
Malik
Willis.
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 Yeah. But so right, we know Carolina is going to take Bryce Young. That's a given. That's set in stone. It falls to Houston. We know the Cardinals aren't going to. Houston, let's just say they don't take CJ. Let's just for shits goes doesn't take CJ. Then
They would probably go with Will Anderson, that big guy from Alabama.
Yeah. Or wait, Indy?
So Houston, I've heard is Jalen Carter.
Houston.
Is the
It's between the two. I keep seeing a bunch of mock drafts.
I keep
That's
seeing
either
Jalen
or.
like being the more consistent one. I've seen his name, the other guy, but I could see that guy going to the Cardinals now because the Cardinals are the third pick.
The edge, yeah. Tyree Wilson.
But they also are talking about how they might trade that pick and fall back to a team that's more apt for somebody else. Then you get to Indy. I've heard a lot of Levis, the kid from
Will
Kentucky.
Levis.
Will Levis is there's the potential of him landing there. Irsay loves him. Coaching staff seems to like him. So go ahead, Andrew.
Sorry, I didn't mean to run over you there.
You're good. Go ahead.
I've heard Richardson because the guy that helped Jalen Hurts from Philly, I forget if it was the offensive coordinator or quarterback coach, somebody in Philly's organization that was involved in developing Jalen Hurts when he wasn't the starter, is now in a position in Indy that if they were to draft a young quarterback, they would be like in charge of their development.
Yeah,
so
it's
I
the head
think
coach.
I don't know if it's I don't know who it is.
It's their it's
I
I
heard
think
about it
it's
like a week
their
ago.
coordinator.
Well,
I think it's the
Shane
offensive coordinator or something. He used to be like a
Shane
quarterback coach at
Steichen.
Philly.
Yeah,
Shane
he
Steichen.
was the offensive coordinator in Philadelphia
Yeah.
last year.
now-
What I was
'cause you
reading
lost-
is that
Both defensive coordinators, the defensive coordinator and offensive
offensive,
coordinator for head
yeah.
coaches, right?
Which I'm 100% fine with both, because as good as we are, our defensive coordinator lost us the Super Bowl. I'm not discounting Kansas City's offense, but our defensive coordinator lost us the Super Bowl, and our offensive coordinator, I feel like, held our offense back from what it could have been, and it was very good being held back. But last year, with how our games went, I think we could have done better in a lot of certain games, specifically against the Texans, against Green Bay, games that we should have, against Washington, when they ran the ball all over us and we couldn't move. I definitely think we could have done better on offense, and I'm happy both are gone. I think the players that we have will still carry over with the new guys we have in place.
Yep.
but from what I've been
that
hearing,
being beneficial for Richardson, though.
Indy feels very comfortable from what I was reading, drafting an underdeveloped quarterback. So like even if the best few go in the beginning, I wouldn't be surprised if they drafted somebody and then continue their charade of signing a 1-year contract for like a 45-year-old man.
Yeah. Well, and then after the Colts, it's the Seahawks, and that's where I've heard a lot of Richardson.
Yeah,
It's the
that's more
Seahawks.
recently. They've been talking about that. Yeah.
That's what I've heard a lot of, for the majority of the time. Then you have the Lions. The Lions aren't, if there's a decent quarterback, they might take him.
I've got a wild card here. I think Detroit trades up to number 3.
If they trade up to number
CJ Stroud, and I don't think they should, but I think they do.
Could. Yeah.
If I'm them, I stay at 6, and then if if CJ Stroud is still there on the board at 6, that's where you have to take him, because if you don't, the Raiders already said they're not taking quarterback. The Falcons aren't going to take a quarterback that early. The Bears, they're definitely not taking quarterback.
I don't know. I don't think the Bears are actually sold on
Fields.
Justin Fields. I think they traded back knowing that some of the quarterbacks would drop.
Yeah,
That's
but
fair.
I don't know
Yeah,
if
there's
I
some
would,
other draft assets.
but I don't know if I would want to take CJ over Fields. Very similar style.
I wouldn't. I like Fields. I think Fields is very comparable to Hurts.
Yeah,
He's a
could
bad
be-
offense. I think
And
if
it
you
could
put
be-
Hurts and if you put Hurts and Fields, I don't think Fields would necessarily be as good as Hurts, but I still think in Philly he would be a pretty good quarterback.
They could be resting and waiting for someone who needs more development, thinking like Levis drop farther or Richardson. Not that like either of them I think will go that far, but if quarterbacks start falling deep, then
well, let's just keep it as like we get to the 6th pick, and if CJ Stroud doesn't pick there, not going to Vegas, not going to the Falcons, not going to the Bears, not going to the Eagles. That would just be really funny if that happened.
3 years ago, I was confused about the 2nd round pick. I don't think I'll be confused about a quarterback being picked this year.
Maybe Tennessee, because you don't know how
Yeah.
they feel about Malik Willis. Maybe the Houston Texans, if the Texans, they're at the 12th pick. Maybe there. If he keeps falling down the list, that's where you might see him go to. But we'll see. I don't know.
I mean, honestly, we could probably go through the scenario
Oh God,
hundreds of times, and we all know the way the NFL draft works. We're gonna find out, 5 hours before the draft, something is going on with some player, and then that person's just gonna drastically fall out of nowhere.
Yep.
And that's why I honestly enjoy the NFL draft, because it's truly probably the most unpredictable drafts out of all professional sports.
yeah.
Usually
There's
you
just
can
so
tell
many-
like the 1 and 2, you almost always know that. After that, it's just a crapshoot.
I think this year it's really, we talked about, you guys all talked about it. The key on what's gonna happen is whatever Indianapolis does with their pick, I think could change how the rest of the draft goes down.
Mhm.
Because I think they can go, like Andrew said, go to that Indianapolis pick, or it can be something completely different that we're not even thinking of, and then it could just fall further and further. Or like Chris said, I can fully expect a team maybe similar like Detroit just be like, oh, let me go and get a quarterback, or even think about a team that like a Minnesota Vikings who's been in talks of possibly trading up somewhere to get one of those quarterbacks because Lord only knows Kirk Cousins, his time is coming. So I think it's just a matter of wait and see, and I'm excited. Be a good time.
Well, let's get off of the quarterback stuff because we could, like Kevin said, talk about that for hours. Wide receiver. So they've said this isn't a strong wide receiver class, but it's a deep one. Only names I keep hearing are the kid from Ohio State, Zay Flowers, and Quentin whatever from TCU. Those are like the
Quentin
top.
Johnson.
Yeah, those are the top ones that I keep hearing, and every time I hear it, I'm like, oh, maybe the Patriots actually draft somebody of use at number 14. But I want to see what you guys' thoughts were on if those three guys you think there would be the top ones taken, or there's somebody else that
I would probably say he's not talked about on like the upper echelon, but probably could fall to the first round. You can't forget about Jordan Addison from
Yeah,
USC.
I want Buffalo to pick him
and you also
because I think he's going to be the best one available by that time.
Who's the speedy guy from Tennessee?
Jalen Hyatt.
Yeah, I've heard his name just because of his speed.
Yeah, he's projected to go second round, followed by guys like Josh Downs from North Carolina, Cedric Tillman, his buddy from Tennessee, Jonathan Mingo, from Ole Miss is another name that keeps popping up within the first couple rounds. Tyler Scott from Cincinnati. So, I think the main ones is going to be Jackson Smith. I don't know what the N stands for or how to say it, but I'm just gonna rock with it. JSN from Ohio State. He's been kind of projected as to be the top receiver on the board.
Yeah, there's a lot of mock drafts show Houston picking both CJ Stroud second and JSN later.
With a 12th pick.
Yeah, 12th pick. Yeah, JSN.
Seen talk of JSN being picked by Philly, which is not a team that needs somebody else in the wide receiver room, but that to me speaks how good the guy might be.
I've heard it.
They're
and I've heard it's
take that chance.
I've heard it's the Patriots will take him at 14. So
yeah, the predictions I've been looking at show him going like 13 to the Packers a lot.
That'd be freaking hysterical if that happened.
The Texans or the Patriots.
Yeah.
So in that like early 10s, 11s, 12s.
Yeah. He'll be a mid-teens pick. I thought it would be interesting. I think that some of these wide receivers will be decent, not great. You know, we'll probably get a couple that are really, really good, and then the rest will be serviceable. Per usual.
Kevin brings up Jordan Addison. He played at Tuscarora High School, which is about 20 minutes from my house.
Ooh.
There's an article about him being one of the players invited to the first round of the draft.
Oh, that's fire.
Says something. I mean, doesn't mean he's going to get picked for sure, but they do try to pick people to be invited that are going to get picked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just don't be like Gino and sit there and have to go back the next day.
Ugh, that was horrible.
That's tough.
All right. The best value in the draft, and this could be any position across the board, but what do you think the best value is in this draft?
Oh, best value.
Robinson. How do you say this? Bijan Robinson?
Bijan Robinson from Texas.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was reading an article
whoever
about,
takes him takes a playmaker.
Yeah. I think honestly it's gonna be weird, but I'm gonna say the best value might be this kid from BC that everyone's talking about too, Zay Flowers. He went to Kansas City, who doesn't pick until the 20s, the end of the first round. And now there's a rumor that they're going to try to trade up to get somebody like Flowers or Smith because they want somebody speedy on the outside. So that's my thought. But what about you, Andrew and Kevin?
I'm gonna say like a Hendon Hooker. I don't think he's amazing, but I
Ooh.
think he's a very solid. He's got good roots. He's got good chemistry with his teammates and stuff. I don't think he's gonna go super early, so it's one of those like we have a late first round pick and there's a solid project quarterback available. I think if you've got the pick and you need somebody in a year or two, could be a good guy to grab.
You definitely need him in a year or two because he's 25.
Yeah, yeah.
He's old.
But I don't know. I don't know a ton about him. I didn't watch a ton of Bulls games this year, but
He's good. I like
I
them
don't know.
until
He
he tore his
seemed really
ACL.
good when I was watching him. Yeah. And it's not like he's got like tons of like issues or anything. He's just not as good as everybody else, it seems like. So it could be a good grab.
Kevin.
For me, uh, he's been in all the mock drafts that I've seen. He's kind of bounced anywhere to as high as your mid teams towards the top of the draft, or maybe towards in the 20s. His father is a former Steeler, and that would
Oh,
be
Joey Porter
Joey
Jr.
Porter Jr., cornerback for Penn State. I would love to get a cornerback like him. He's been projected to go there or a little bit higher and low as like in the 20s. But
Yeah,
I
I've
think
seen
that would be a great one as well.
I've seen him bounce anywhere between number 10 to number like 22.
Yeah.
He's all over
Walter
the place.
WalterFootball.com has him as of a couple hours ago going to the Steelers at 17.
That's where I keep seeing.
CBS as of
Wow.
2 hours ago has him at 21 going to the Chargers.
Yes. So
Well, they got to
there's
replace JC Jackson because they paid him too
That's
much and he
true.
got hurt.
and
Yeah.
then ESPN's mock draft as of after the Aaron Rodgers trade has him at 16 to the Commanders.
Ooh.
Could really go anywhere.
Yeah. And then here we go. I think I have CBS up also. And then hold on. I think I just missed his name. Hold on.
I'm looking at Dalton Miller's from Pro Football Network right now that has Christian Gonzalez, Joey Porter Jr., and Deontay Banks, three cornerbacks going in a row from 16 to 18, with Porter Jr. going to Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I have and CBS has Joey Porter Jr. going to the Chargers. So yeah, it's everywhere. So defensive back, let's get him.
Oh man. Oh man. I wouldn't mind that one. That's a good pick, especially for any team that truly needs a cornerback. But what they have, is it Witherspoon from Illinois is the number one corner right now?
I believe so, if I read it correctly.
Holy shit. ESPN's changing it. Yeah. ESPN's got this going a little nuts. They have Will Anderson going number 2. Then they have
Yep.
Trey Wilson from Texas Tech going number 3.
Tyree Wilson, you mean?
Tyree, thank you. Colts taking Stroud at 4. Seahawks taking Jalen Carter. Witherspoon will go to Detroit at 6. And then they have Vegas taking Richardson. Nolan Smith from Georgia to the Falcons. Bears will take Lucas Van Ness from Iowa,
he's a beast.
He is crazy good.
He's my sleeper.
You think
They have
yeah.
They have Will Levis falling to number 11 right now.
CBS is Will Levis falling to the last pick in the first draft.
Oh, great. They have
him taken by the Titans.
They have the Patriots taking Paris Johnson Jr. from Ohio State for the offensive tackle instead of taking Jackson Smith Njigba because he's being taken by the Texans. I don't want an offensive tackle.
It's Bill, bro.
Paris Johnson.
Offensive tackle.
Let's go.
He's gonna get you an offensive tackle.
Dude, if they get an offensive tackle and I watch this draft, the whole thing on Thursday, and that's what happens, I'm going to be pissed.
Can't wait for the
if my team drafts an offensive tackle, I might be actually happy.
I don't know. Let's see what the Bills are supposed to get.
They need, according to me, O-line, linebackers,
Nope,
running backs. And
they have you taking Quentin Johnston from TCU.
I'd take that. I would take that.
Yeah, that's not a bad pick.
You're like
Um,
taking an offensive lineman in the first round of a draft, even if you know your team absolutely needs one, is just such a deflating feeling.
Yeah,
Oh
it
my
is.
God, when they
How
There's
good
Ah,
nothing.
they
There's
are and
nothing
how bad
flashy
you
about
need them.
looking
They
and
might be the
seeing
best
that.
player in college that whole year, and it's just like, why?
I remember when Mark Ingram was coming out and they took Nate Solder ahead of Mark Ingram, and I just sat there and almost cried. I was like, why? We have no running backs. Why did you take this man? It worked out at the end, like it's
Yeah,
fine,
you
but
just don't realize it till a few years later when that guy, like when we took Lane Johnson, I was like, eh. And
yeah, but
Lane
he
Johnson
Lane
is
Johnson's a
probably the
stud.
best right tackle in the league right now.
oh, he's easily, yeah.
And I'm not saying I knew he was great then too, but I
Especially because
was
you can
not like
just
I was like I want some skill guy.
you can just draft linemen and just like shove them in the GM's pocket, and they'll just be there for like the next 8 years.
That's
Not
true.
that long, but like
Offensive
it's pretty easy
linemen
to just
can
bet
play
that they're
for
gonna stay.
10 to
Ever.
10 to 12 years, give or take, if they stay
Yeah.
healthy.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because isn't that the
And
year when
running
Lane
backs break
Johnson went
down.
number 4? He it was like Eric Fisher from the Chiefs that went
Yep.
Yeah, Fisher went
year.
number 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was like, oh my
Now
God,
he's a
all these
doctor.
offensive linemen. Good for him.
Yeah. Yeah, he could have come back and when they kind of get back from COVID and decided not to, and just stayed as a doctor. All right,
Andrew,
so
what were you saying? I totally interrupted Andrew in his spiel. My apologies.
and then
What was I talking about?
You were talking about like something wide receiver something.
Oh yeah, the Bills need offensive line, they need linebackers, they need wide receiver maybe, and maybe a running back.
no, you
But
got
offensive line help. Our offensive line is way overpaid. Like really bad. And they're not good. Like they're not bad. They're a worse teams, but like it's not good.
all right. So who's the biggest risk? This could be across the whole draft, but we're probably
Can
talking
I
number
start? Because I
overall.
have kind of a controversial take.
Go
Ooh,
ahead.
yes.
Go ahead.
I
Because I
think
need real
Bryce Young.
material.
Ooh.
I think Bryce Young is the biggest risk.
Okay. Why?
And I have a few reasons. Number one, he comes out of Alabama, which isn't like a bad system to come out of.
Okay.
But I think coming out of a big system and a prominent team like that wasn't super successful makes him look a lot better than he is. Not that he is bad. I think he's really good. I just think him coming out of Alabama is going to make him seem better than he is. It's just going to inflate him a little bit. He's 5'10", and it might be because I have Josh Allen on my team, and it might be because I grew up watching football when the quarterback was a huge dude who just stood there. But I don't trust small quarterbacks. So to me, the idea of drafting a guy who didn't show up at the NFL Combine, so he doesn't have a certified height, who's listing himself at 5'10", at the first pick in the NFL draft seems a bit risky to me. And it's the first pick of the draft. And if you're going to draft him first, then of course there's risk involved. But I don't know. I fear that he will get crushed, and whoever drafts him is going to rely way too heavy on him being good. And I don't know how that's going to transfer, especially because this Alabama team that he played on wasn't amazing. It was good. They beat a lot of good teams, but they also weren't the Alabama that typically happens. So
Okay.
that's my
Okay.
argument against Bryce Young.
All right. Wow. That is all right.
I mean, I'll be honest. You made some valid
Made some good
points there.
points.
You know, because a lot of people, just because of the name Alabama, Nick Saban, they're like, oh,
Yeah.
sure hitter. But you know, who knows if it could have just been the system, could have been the players around him. You know,
And he could come out and be fucking crazy. Don't get me wrong. He
Yeah.
could be like amazing. He could be out of the whole draft, the one quarterback that's like good. And I'll be like, good for you. I'm really happy for that. But I don't know. I don't trust like a lot of, like Merritt was saying earlier, like a lot of the time we can sort of rest on the fact that like this guy's going to be number one and he's going to be a good pick. He's going to be a good player. And I don't get that from him. I just get he's a little bit better than everybody else, but everybody else seems to be I
I
don't know.
definitely see the risk that you're saying. The thing with me and Alabama quarterbacks is Saban does pick natural born leaders right out of high
That's
school.
true. That's true.
And they come into the league and that translates, even in a case with Hurts, who left Alabama. Tua, still a good leader. Miami, obviously, not the greatest team there is, but they're still a lot better with him when he's playing. I think even the Patriots struggles. Mac Jones, if they can get some decent pieces around him on offense, I do think will be a good leader in that offense. Hurts is a hell of a leader. I mean, he picks natural born leaders for that position. And Alabama tends to have the best leaders coming out in that quarterback position, which is realistically what you need to be. Like I always said, Peyton Manning, if you look at him statistically, wasn't every single year the best quarterback out there. He was above average. But what stuck out from him versus other people, and I know he's not a Bama guy at Tennessee, but leader.
Yep.
At the end of the day, Peyton Manning is one of the best leaders to ever play quarterback in the NFL, and that's why his teams won.
That's a good point.
All right. Kevin, who's your biggest risk?
Biggest risk? I think it's, I don't know if it's like, if I have a specific person. I think it's the biggest risk is any of those teams that are really just going to try and just trade up and give a bunch of picks to try and get one of these so-so quarterbacks like Richardson and Levis. Like, and again, I could be wrong. I'm just honestly just throwing a guess out here. But sometimes when people try to do these things and just go off of like, oh, he's going to be developed, or oh, he give him a couple years. Sometimes it doesn't work out. So that's my pick. I don't have a specific answer.
That's fine. That's fine. Chris?
I'd say almost any of the quarterbacks with Bryce Young, but if I want to do a specific player, Jalen Carter.
Oh, okay.
High risk, high reward. For a while this year, looking at him, I thought about the upside of him dropping to Philly, and with his issues, it looked like he could. I think they're projecting him number 6 overall is where they're consistently putting him.
Yeah, I've seen anywhere from 3 to 6.
I thought if he would drop to Philly, you take Jalen Carter, you put him back with Jordan Davis, and then you put him back with Nakobe Dean, who've all just played together recently. And
That's
we're on
scary.
a defense at Georgia, but Jordan Davis coming out of the draft was very overweight. And Philly's done a lot to get him in shape and get him on the straight and narrow. And I wonder if a guy like that coming in with the issues he's had right in the last few months is going to foster laziness between the two of them, especially as we start to lose these veteran guys that are keeping control. But Jalen Carter could be very, very, very dangerous for some team, or he could be dangerous to the team.
Yep. Wow. That's a good pick. I didn't even think of it that way.
I think he just got charged with reckless driving, I think, back in March.
He got charged with reckless driving and
drag racing or whatever he was doing.
Yeah, because he was involved in his
Street
teammate
racing.
in the scout getting killed.
Yep.
So there's that. Man, I'm gonna go honestly. Well, Andrew's gone. Bye, Andrew.
I'm still here. I'm sorry. I opened another window in front of my screen.
Oh,
I didn't realize
Andrew
that it would block me out.
yeah.
I'm sorry. I didn't realize.
Wow.
I just tried to open a new
Jalen
Google
Carter to
window.
go number 1 overall, and then I brought it up, and he got pissed. So he
No.
it's like screw this show.
I'm gonna go.
Fuck this guy, Chris. I'm out of here.
I'm gonna go. The biggest risk right now in my mind is a guy that Andrew thought was the best value. I love him. I think Hayden Hooker is phenomenal.
Oh man, it's okay, Andrew. I feel you.
I'm sorry,
I don't
Andrew.
know. I was thinking more in like, I don't know. I thought you could get a lot out of a low prospect out of him. That's where I was going.
They have him right now going high. They have him at 23.
Oh, do they? The only ones that I've been looking at recently have been like second round stuff.
They have him right now. ESPN has him at 23 to the Vikings.
Oh wow. Okay, so
That's
he's going
extremely
up
high.
higher than I thought he was going to be.
At that value, no. I don't think he's worth that.
No.
I think he's a second day, third day pick.
Yeah.
only because of his injury. Problem with him, he's 25 years old.
Yeah.
So you can get, if he's not starting within this first year to 2 years, he probably will never start at that point. So you waste a high draft pick on that. That's the biggest risk to this player. It's not that he's not a good quarterback or not a good leader, anything like that. It's where you draft him.
Yeah.
And what team he goes to. If he goes to a team like Minnesota, that's fine. Minnesota has got, I think, 1 or 2 years left with Cousins. So you can potentially see what Hooker can do. That's fine. But I think that would be the biggest thing there. Kind of go quick because it's like literally 9:15 and I need to go to bed soon. Sleepers. Who is your sleeper in this draft? Andrew, we'll start with you.
Sleeper in the draft. I think I think Anthony Richardson is going to be really good. I can see the argument for why he like wouldn't be, and I can see why he's not like a safe pick for almost any team. But I think if a team that has a stable quarterback for the next year drafts him and he can be like built right by the right coaches and can like get integrated into a system well, I feel like the physical attributes are insane. So, and like again, I haven't done a ton of draft research, but from the clips I've seen of him, if he can be like matured well and like taught the NFL game of football and like reciprocates it and can like play the game, I think we're looking at like the next Lamar.
Oh wow. Okay.
People like draft comparisons are like Cam Newton alone. Like that's like his physical attributes are insane. So if you can harness that and like teach him to like not be insane and like get rid of the ball and hurt himself, then I think we're looking at a great player. I just think you need the time. You can't just drop him in on the first week of the season and be like, go play football. Like, no.
Okay.
That's my
All right.
that's my
Kevin?
pick.
I honestly have no idea. Skip me.
Oh gosh. All right, Chris.
I haven't done a ton of research, but I like Calvin Austin III out of Memphis. Very short receiver, very fast. Had a great pro day. I think he's going to go later in the draft, but potentially could be a Wes Welker type player. I think he's only like 5'8".
Yeah, he's a small guy, but they said he was.
But just the speed and the moves he can do. I see like a Wes Welker, not necessarily like a Deshaun Jackson, but put him in the slot, let him run around. Definitely going to be a late guy. I don't think he's going to be a overall star, but I think he's going to be a solid pickup for whoever takes him, and they're going to look back and say he should have been drafted a few rounds earlier.
Okay. Kevin,
Merritt, I got one.
You got one? All right. Who you got?
Give me Emmanuel Forbes, cornerback from Mississippi State. He's got first number 14 interceptions he accumulated the last 3 years. And how many of them he returned for touchdowns? 6 of them. So he's got apparently he's got some comparisons to Sauce Gardner due to the fact that he's so lean like him, but he doesn't play like a lean cornerback. So ESPN has this gentleman going to the New York Football Giants at 25. So let's go with it.
Okay. Look at you. I have the one and only Bryce Ford Wheaton as my sleeper. That man balled out at his pro day, balled out at the combine, and was the best wide receiver at that combine statistically by the numbers. He was the best overall. And no one talked about him. We all talked about every other receiver that we've all said besides, the one that Chris mentioned here with Austin. I think if he goes to the right team, and that's the key, goes to the right team that will let him develop for a year, he could be one of those guys that comes in and just is a ball hawk. You throw that up to him, he's going for it. We all saw that at West Virginia. Anytime the ball is in the air near him, did not matter. He was going for that ball. So that's my sleeper. I hope somehow, some way becomes a Patriot, or if Sills is still there and becomes a Patriot, I'd be happy. I'll get their jersey. Even if they don't ever play for us, I will get their jersey. But that's what I've got there. So here's the last thing that I've got on our list is, who do you hope your team picks with their first round pick on Thursday? And we're going to start with you, Kevin.
How come I always have to go first?
Because I like putting the pressure on.
I went first earlier.
Yeah, Andrew's been
I
going first like all
Offered to
night.
go first.
All right,
I
Andrew, you want to go
will-
first?
No.
I was
Kevin's
gonna
going
say
first.
my pick.
Okay.
So I think the Steelers need to either go with a offensive lineman to go ahead and protect Kenny Pickett. He needs more protection. He's a young quarterback out here.
Mm-hmm.
Or I would really enjoy a good cornerback. So if I could get my wish, if I had to go with a specific player, I would love if they could get, if he falls to them, Joey Porter Jr. from Penn State.
His dad would be so ecstatic if that happened.
Exactly. Pittsburgh legacy, he would understand from his dad. I don't know if that'd be too much pressure on him. Maybe he'd stray away from the Steelers, but I still think it'd be a good story. Just like how when Kenny out of Pitt went to Pittsburgh as like a good story. So
Okay, I like it. Chris?
I got a few, since we have two different picks, but I'd say number one, either if he's still there at 10, Nolan Smith. Luke Van Ness would be my second one. And then I do like Bijan Robinson. I don't think we need that caliber of running back with how good our run blocking is. But I mean, if he's there and you can add him, why the hell not?
Andrew?
So I don't want us to draft a wide offensive lineman in the first round. As much as we need it, it sucks. Don't do that. So I would love, I've seen some crazy mock drafts where JSN falls to Buffalo, which is like a far fall. But
That's
if that was
far.
possible, it's not likely. But if we can get a Jordan Addison, I would be ecstatic with that. That'd be nice.
Yeah, he's in the range for you guys too. So
yeah, I just want somebody to back up Diggs that isn't we need to sign a free agent soon, and then draft somebody young, and so that we can sort of build a core together. Because Gabe is good, but he didn't take the step. He's not awesome. So
all right. Well, I'm going to go with Zay Flowers. I actually like him over JSN. Boston College kid, so he's right up the road. So he understands the presence of the Patriots in the area, understands why you've got to win now mentality at all times, no matter what. So it also comes from a team that's god awful, to be honest, and has something to prove more than other players out there. I think I like the chip on his shoulder. So I would love if Zay Flowers is available and we did not take an offensive tackle or defensive end. Be great. Did we miss anything?
No, I don't
right.
think so.
Okay.
Other than, make sure you watch the NFL draft at 8 p.m. on ABC. I don't know how the NFL draft got an ABC time slot while the NBA playoffs are going on, but whatever. I will be watching this Thursday though.
I will be too, as long as the Celtics win tomorrow night. I'll have it on. All right, so I have two trivia questions.
No
Fantastic.
way.
Yeah, I got two trivia questions.
Finally.
Finally, I did trivia last week. I've done trivia the past few weeks.
Normally it's only one question though.
Yeah,
No,
that's
but
what
I
I'm
have
saying.
two.
I'm very excited for
this
two.
week.
So, Andrew and Kevin, do not look at the sheet right now. Do not scroll down to the bottom of it, because I'm going to unhighlight
the sheet
answers so I can remember what they are. Okay. Oops. Wait, there's something. Yeah, there's missing. There we go. Okay. Which NFL teams have the most number one picks in the NFL draft? If you can give me the teams and then how many numbers of picks, even better.
How many of them are there?
2.
I think I know one.
Okay.
Most number one picks.
Yep.
Like number one overall picks?
Number one overall. Yes.
Because I remember this from last year. Like they were talking about it. No, it's not one of the teams from last year, but they were talking about the fact that this team has one like the most. Is the Rams one of them?
The Rams are one of them.
Yeah.
Oh.
How many do they have?
It's like 8 or something. Is it like 6? It's
Is that
it's not
14?
9.
No, it's definitely not
No,
that
it's
high.
it's high
It's
single
very,
digits. It's like
it's
7
very
or
close to
something.
what Andrew just said.
5.
No, it's
Is it
literally right
7?
between. Yeah, it's 7. So the Rams have.
I was just about to say 7.
The Rams have 7 first round. First,
I know that one. I don't know the other one.
This team. Do you want me to give you guys a hint?
Jacksonville Jaguars.
No, actually, because they've only been around for. They haven't been around long enough. Really, you need
Yeah,
to
They've
have a
sucked
long
long
history.
enough, though. They've sucked long enough.
Yeah, it's true.
So like Dallas?
No, Dallas has been too good for a long time.
That's
For
fair.
Cleveland.
Like Chicago.
no, they've
Cleveland.
moved from their original location to a
They
new
moved.
location.
The Colts.
The Raiders.
No,
Oh,
the Colts.
Colts.
How many do they have?
Also 7.
Yes, the Colts and the Rams both have 7 picks
That
At
were number
number
one
one.
overall.
at number one
That's
overall.
crazy.
Now, how
Yes.
many can we name? Like
I
off the
any of
top of our head.
I'm not even gonna like.
Well, Jared Goff.
Yeah, he was the number 1 pick. Jared
Andrew
Goff.
Luck. Andrew Luck
Yep.
was one. Peyton Manning.
Mhm.
Is that another one?
That is probably as far back as you're gonna go because a lot of the other ones were in the 60s and 80s.
I don't know,
Alright,
60s,
well,
80s.
I tried, guys.
All right, and now, which NFL teams have never had the first overall pick? So when I say this, I mean that they did not suck so bad that they got the number one overall pick. They could have traded up to get the pick, but they weren't given it
Oh,
when
okay. So
the
traded
season
up for it
ended.
doesn't count.
Yes, when they trade up for it does not count. There's 3 teams.
Someone who's like perpetually
Steelers.
No, Steelers have had the number one overall pick before.
Okay. All right. Well, never mind.
Denver?
Denver is 1. Denver has had 1 overall pick once.
Okay, but they traded up for it.
I'm gonna
They
go with
traded up
another
to get-
team out west just to add to him. Seattle.
Yes, Seattle.
Yeah, that's a good
Oh,
one.
okay.
The other one is the team that moved from where the Colts were.
Ravens.
Oh, the Ravens.
Yes, the Ravens
Yeah.
have never had a number one overall pick.
Oh, shout out to them.
That's pretty.
What pick was Lamar? He was the same.
He was like
he's
a
like-
double-digit pick.
He was like
Yeah.
number.
Yeah,
He was-
Lamar
he
was
was almost
taken
a-
at the end of the first round. He was
Yeah.
pick
Late.
30. I think they traded back.
He was.
I think they traded back with us that year.
They traded back in. Yeah, because they took him right before the Patriots had traded back in as well. They took him right before the Patriots.
32nd overall, yeah.
So that is my trivia for the night, guys.
That was good, sir.
Thank you. I'm trying my best here.
Good
All right,
trivia.
Kevin. Get us out of here.
All right. Outro time. Thank you guys for listening to our NFL draft episode. Big shout out to Chris for joining us, and Andrew, producer Andrew, for being out here with us. Chris, you have any socials you would like our followers to hit you up on?
Nah, I have enough people following me in my head. I don't need any more.
All right, no problem.
Thank you, though. Glad to
So,
be here.
with that being said, if you guys are watching this on our YouTube channel, make sure you guys go ahead and give us a like and a comment at the Manly Musings podcast. We're available on all streaming platforms. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on Spotify. We are on Google Play. We are on Amazon Play. Make sure you follow our Instagram at the Manly Musings Pod. Follow Mary at his _ at Mary _ P. Follow Andrew at his at AMelville56. Follow me at KQuaver624. And yeah, take care. Enjoy the NFL draft. Eat lots of bad food. And we shall see y'all next week.
Peace.
Peace, y'all.